perpetrated. So, my brother's come along and flagged another video. But you know what? You can flag all you like. This is not my only video. This is not my only YouTube channel, okay? I have 3 others. And I'm uploading all my videos onto them. And I'm sending those videos off to the media now. And I don't know how long it will take for the media to react to my mother's killing, which is basically taking place as we speak. But the truth doesn't change. It just gets stronger over time. And the murderers may be successful in murdering my parents, and the government may be successful in stealing all their assets, sharing them with the corporation and the other satanic perpetrators. And everyone will know what they've done.
Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. Some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted.
This stretches around the globe, ladies and gentlemen. This trafficking of children. It's not only children, it's women for prostitution, it's all kinds of things. Mules for the drug trade. We're going to make you carry our drugs across the border. If you don't do it, we're going to kill your children.
Today I've got a special guest here. It's Wednesday Kennedy from Sydney, Australia, who is going to be reporting about MK Ultra, but also especially today about elder trafficking. And she has an extremely hard case because her mother was kidnapped and carted off into a so-called care home. But it turned out that this care home is everything but. I think care is the last thing that's actually happening there.
Stuff like that. This is what's happening across this country, across this planet. As our guest tonight is from Australia. She comes from down under.
Raised in this, introduced to the international child sex trafficking ring through my grandparents. So we had my grandmother and my step-grandfather, so that was Helen and Peter Holovchek, or Holozak, and they were Nazis. They were Nazi war criminals who liked to work in the death camps and for the Gestapo, etc., over in Poland and Lithuania. And they immigrated to Australia, and what people don't realise is that Australia received a very large number of Nazi war criminals. And there's an author called Mark Aaron who wrote all about that.
It was grueling. I was following your YouTube video as it was unfolding, and I think it's actually one of the biggest issues currently that we're facing in terms of fighting this crime cartel. So tell us what happens.
Well, yeah, because nobody really talks about elder trafficking. We know that child trafficking happens, and sex trafficking and organ trafficking and drug trafficking, but elder trafficking is really very and I think because elder trafficking is just it's Agenda 21. It's you get the elders, the way that the guardianship system, the racket is set up is all you need is one treacherous child or treacherous relative or friend to get you into that nursing home, and an Alzheimer's diagnosis or a dementia diagnosis or whatever can get you in there. And then once, you're in there.
There's a structure that people aren't so familiar with concerning this pedophile ring network. There are different types of victims. Some victims are kidnapped off the streets. Other victims are bred. But there's another category, and that's what I belong to, and they're children who are born into it. So it's multi-generational abuse. And if someone like me who's born into it, we are expected to go on and sort of become administrators within the pedophile ring network system. We're expected to become perpetrators. Absolutely. Scientology is just one branch, just one. So are the Freemasons. So is something called the OTO. So is, there's just a whole bunch of men and the Catholic Church as well. The Catholic Church is it's just a pedo organisation. There's nothing else for it.
The United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families, and to their communities.
If they get money, I'm taking from their hole in their heart, the place up there, that...
Holy Spirit.
That's their plan. Yeah. We gotta find something.
What did you call it? The hole in the heart. Oh,
we mustn't change. We mustn't change our change. We can't do that.
We won't change.
Locked up. Locked up.
You saw Trishy's name there, didn't you?
Hurt me.
You saw Trishy's name there, didn't you?
Hurt me. Shouldn't you anymore?
Baba can sit here. And darling,
The big one.
look, spoon, breakfast.
Okay.
No, not lipstick, spoon.
Okay.
Good girl. There, pick it up.
Look at all those.
That's for you. Do you want me to feed you?
Can't you tell the truth?
Yeah, but every time I tell the truth, I get bashed. I get bashed. Ma, I'm telling as much truth as I can.
One day the world will know. One day.
One day the world will know.
It will one day remember her with those eyes that died. Can you do that?
Yeah. Gonna make me cry. Eat. This is from Fritz Springmeier, An Undetectable Mind Control. While the Monarch programming is done with children, one variety of it is also done on adults. Adults who are selected are also chosen on the basis of their ability to disassociate and their availability. There are certain tests given by the branches of the military which identify people who disassociate well. That's me. Their CUMEs, that is their accumulated school records, are also examined. This type of person may be singled out and sent to get programming. In 1985, Flash in the Pan film called Midnight Man.
Every chosen one has handlers. Everyone who's a satanically, ritually abused multiple. Every one of them, they have handlers who seek to keep them controlled. That's the bottom line, that handle their life, that trigger them, call them in, adjust them like a robot. The issue of mind control and being amnesic and erasing things and burying things and putting things down. Listen, folks, why would anybody want to use that technology on a mind? You know why? To hide things. I mean, especially on the pervert side of all this, where they have sexually abused children. Listen, all the chosen ones have triggers, and I think we've talked a little bit about this already.
I find a million distractions to not say what I want to say. because what I want to say is unsayable. But now I'm speaking for Mum, who's had her home, her husband, her family, her money, and all of her connections stripped away from her.
I know.
But when Mum still had her voice, she wasn't afraid to say that her own daughter was a killer and wanted her dead.
Get home, isn't it? I know.
She wasn't afraid to disinherit her, but she didn't expect her to come back like Freddy Krueger. Kick her out of her home with the help of my brother.
I know, it's weird.
And bury her alive.
It's like we got transported onto Mars. But at least we're on Mars together. Come on.
How do you say that I'm not a targeted individual? I'm actually one member of a targeted tribe. And that this targeting has been intergenerational. And it led to my maternal grandmother's early death. It possibly led to my father's sister, my auntie Hazel's early death, because they sure got to her kids after she died and made her husband Warren's life an absolute living hell until he, ended up in a caravan park, impoverished, and lost his wife, lost both of his daughters, his most beloved daughter, Susan, in a car accident, and I'm sure Alison was beloved too, but they got to her young. She was definitely beta programmed, sex kitten programmed. She was, and then she abandoned her child. I mean, nobody could work out, who could do that? How could a mother just leave? And she left her child with Warren, the father, the husband of Hazel, who is my father's sister. It's just a slaughterhouse. Have you been thinking about Minnie?
No, she had no dislike to anyone.
I know, she loved everyone.
Yeah.
She loved everyone.
Yeah.
And she took care of everyone. Didn't she?
Yeah.
And even when she was tired and she had her arthritis and her nervous system was bad, she still kept helping people, right?
Yeah. She didn't dislike no one.
I know. But they slandered her because they were jealous.
Her father died when she was 5. Auntie Glad was 3 and Uncle Tom was 18 months. And Mum cared so much about Grandma. I was closer to Grandma than Auntie Mary, who I go and see now. Oh, it's hard to put it in words, but she wanted me to enjoy myself because she didn't have much of a background of enjoying life, you know. And the marriage was a failure because Dad wasn't as honest as he should have been, you know. I don't know what was going. I have to ask people.
Why did Albert tell people that she stole all the money when she spent all the money when she didn't spend the money? He didn't give her any money. He made out like she'd spent the money. And she didn't spend the money. He didn't give her any money, right?
She just... She never knew where her friends were.
She never knew who her friends were. Because people betrayed her. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with me. People betrayed me. So you don't know who's on your side?
Good no.
But she never hurt anyone. You know why? Because she was a victim of something called organised gang stalking. It's a slaughterhouse and I only have to go back one generation. On both sides. On both sides. Because both sides of my family, well, they're Illuminati bloodlines. Kennedy, one of the 13 bloodlines. And their mum's side.
And I go into the top 13 Illuminati bloodlines in that tape. I also have a book. This comes from a book, The Top 13 Illuminati Bloodlines. This pertains to the mind control because these bloodlines learned about these mind control techniques many centuries ago. These are the movers and shakers of the world. And this is the Kennedys. Here we see JFK at the Great Pyramid. And here was the first presidential model sexual slave that they allowed the public to see. This is Marilyn Monroe.
And their mum's side is bastard blue blood back to the 10th Earl of Pembroke. It was Trish that told me that Mum was descendant from the 10th Earl of Pembroke, who seduced a woman away from her wedding day in Venice and got her pregnant with Carolyn Metcalfe, and then went back to his wife, Elizabeth Spencer. Elizabeth Spencer? Who knew? I was just one mind-controlled roll in the hay removed from the Spencer family line. Maybe that explained why Lady Di kept turning up in my path. Over and over again. Over and over again. From 1985, when our Wonderworld crew got questioned by the MI5 when we were shooting Highgrove House, where Diana was living with Charles at the time. No doubt throwing herself down the staircase. And right through to 2012, when I was forced into renting a room from a pervy old geezer who seemed to know more about me than I knew about myself. Well, there she was again, Lady Di, right next to his presidential model sex slave trained only daughter. A picture paints 1,000 words. But there are no pictures of Octavia Hamilton, Mum's great-great-grandmother, all but erased. Octavia Hamilton explained why the Opera House on 3 continents was involved in my programming. Octavia Hamilton explained that hairy little Frenchman that they sent to me in Paris. Octavia Hamilton explained so many things for me and put so many pieces together that when Trish took back Octavia Hamilton the night that she evicted us.
Tomorrow, Trish and Paul are coming and they're going to start stripping the...
Meaning she took back the story. So she said she'd got the birth certificate wrong. Well, I knew she was lying. It wasn't enough for her to take off with Dad and the bank books. She had to take Mum's history. She had to take Mum's story, Mum's memory, and Mum's spirit song.
Can feel it in here.
You know what's amazing, Mum, is that I just wrote on Facebook about you and about how you and I sing together now, and about how when I moved out of home at 17, there was this incident where I started to sing or something, and then you said to me, you can't sing or something, and I thought, I'll show you. Yeah. And then I went out to sing. But it's really funny, now we've come the whole other end, and then I moved out of home. It started a whole thing around the song, and that's funny that it started around the song, now that I know that your great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, was Octavia Hamilton, like the famous opera singer. It's like the song has been, it's like the fat lady has been stuck in our soul, you know? And you live long enough for me to work out the mystery, you know? So in a way, it doesn't matter if I don't perform again. Like, I don't need the applause or anything. Like, I love to give what I have to give, you know, but if they don't want me to give, then I just give what I give to you and Dad, you know?
What reaction did you got in the audience?
Well, you know, in the early days, the reaction was like amazing. But then they started the campaign really to make sure that I, sort of after last night in New York, after September 11th, there was a real campaign to get me off stage, to stop me creating, to stop me performing. And so it's really been going on hardcore since 2001. I mean, Australia really started closing me down in 1998, and that's why I went to New York, but then they followed me to New York. See, it's a military thing. The Navy is so much a part of it, Mum. And that's why when the, you know, that whoever the military was that was living next door to you at Concord Western, you were always paranoid and saying to Dad, oh, they're listening to us or whatever, and Dad was going, oh, she's nuts. But you weren't nuts. No, Dad didn't say you're nuts. He never says that about you. Dad was just like, stop it, Gwen. But it turned out I reckon you were right. I reckon you were right. And
if you pushed, might have worked out.
No, if I did push, I pushed and pushed and pushed, nothing would have worked out, because there's a whole army of people who wanted to make sure that it didn't work out. Yes. And I mean, there's a lot of, like, okay, Harvey Shaw, he was, his brother is Master Mason and from the Navy, and Harvey was military intelligence. Then there was Don Kenny in Kyogen. He, my Kyogen teacher in Tokyo. He came to Japan with the U.S. Navy. Who else was there? Then there was Patrick Faure, you know, French Navy brat. His father was a dentist in the bloody French Navy. So then I got the French after me. I mean, they're the main Navy links, but, you know, I'm sure there are others. Like, I'm just sort of digging.
Oh, and I forgot to. She took off with a whole lot. The money was the least of it.
There it is, Mum. We're going to heaven. We're finished now. With the baby. I'll never marry John and do nothing. I'm as plain as can be.
Du sollst ins Schlingern kommen. Menschen, die du schätzt, werden geringschätzig abgetan.
You have to allow us to take over.
They say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Well, it does if there's been a tsunami through the orchard. And that's pretty much what happened to John and Gwen Kennedy. They raised us with solid Christian values, and they led by example. And I want the world to know that this is not their legacy.
You've got what they're called bloodliners. So they're people who are born into it. And up the top, you've got people who are the bloodliners are usually high IQ, and they're called, the elite. The chosen ones, we were called. So, which, you don't want to be chosen for this. So don't anybody ever aspire to this garbage, because it's not, it's not worth it. But anyway, then what you have is some other groups. And some people might be multi-generational, but they're not considered the high IQ chosen ones, right? So, and then below that, you'll have people recruited through university, public and private schools. And then right at the bottom, you'll have your bikie gangs and people like that who get involved that way. And just your obvious people who get involved in local witches' covens and things like that. They think it's just a bit of a laugh. And then one day they get involved so far and they realise what's really going on, and it's too late, they can't get out. So you've got your mafia and all that sort of thing. The mafia are involved somewhere in that hierarchy and all these groups. Now, yes, look, so many people are involved. I would say now, in this day and age, because you've got to remember that this increases exponentially. When you abuse a child, then you think, these people think once they get a child in, and if they've got them for life, then they think they own that child's children and that child's grandchildren. So you think if you've got somebody, if they've come in the 1940s and then, we're up to the fourth generation, then all those, it's all spread, it's increased, it grows like a cancer. So we now definitely, I've seen that every organisation in Australia has been infiltrated. Politicians, the police, the education department. I mean, personally, I've seen evidence of infiltration. Docs, our children's services here is just, with the help of the judiciary, police, is just nothing more than a child prostitution racket. So it's everywhere. Your the little old lady next door, your bus driver, your doctors, your nurses, your hospitals. Look, I couldn't imagine that any psychiatric hospital hasn't been infiltrated, because they have to infiltrate these places and shut this down. This is how they keep it a secret. And you can have an organisation of, say, 20 people. It only takes one to have infiltrated to start exacting the will of the organisation as a whole. They'll say, oh, look, I'll get that phone call for you, Bob. A case will come in related to, someone like me. And they'll say, oh, I'll get that for you. You have the afternoon off. I'll take that.
Discussion at the Holy Spirit Nursing Home, Tuesday, 20th of June. taking the entry tag from Wednesday Kennedy and blocking her legal capacity to take Gwen Kennedy from Holy Spirit Nursing Home, should she even be permitted to take Gwen into the grounds of the nursing home? Question mark. This needs to happen because the tag removal, Anna, this is Nurse Anna, says she no longer feels safe in her work environment, fearing that Wednesday will enter Christina House. Well, who is Anna? Let me reintroduce you to Anna. Anna colluded with my brother on Mum's first morning in the nursing home, sacked me as carer, gave my mother a new doctor that my brother had directed, even though he wasn't guardian or carer. So this is Anna, who has colluded with my brother and Dr. Hislop, who says that she no longer feels safe in her work environment, fearing that Wednesday will enter Christina House. It's number one of Trish's directives. Trish, my sister, disinherited by my mother and now acting her vengeance on my mother. It's number one of her directives.
And yeah, these sorts of things, that's what it takes. And it's so spread now that you can't even, look, the difference between Australia and America is, in America, you've always had two extremes. You've had very extreme sort of a moral movement, you know, and a very strong Christian movement where people, it's not shameful over there in certain areas to walk down the street with your Bible and talk openly about God and biblical beliefs. But then the other extremes, so you've got two extremes. In Australia, we've only got one. We've got one extreme, and it's this pedo stuff. This country is CIA run. They own this country, and they always have, and that's what Gough Whitlam found out when he tried to take them on.
I've just put Mum down for sleep, but right now, because we're going to go back and have a shower, and I'll leave her there for a couple of hours so I can do the shopping, Mum's gone into absolute terror again. Of being abandoned, of me not coming back. Because let's face it, I'm the last one left. I thought you'd be safe because you were with Dad, but I think what happened when you saw Dad, it triggered the last time that you saw Dad, which was with Paul, and then it triggered the whole money thing. And then when I got there, you were just like, where's my money? Where's my money? And you were just yelling at Dad because you just feel betrayed by him. It's like they took his brain and then Paul took the money. You know, 4 months ago he's driving, whatever, you know. But, you know, he was under that unbelievable stress caused by them for that period of time. But then, you know, he goes into hospital with ulcerative colitis, he comes out with no memory, and then it just gets worse and worse.
In the money.
I know.
I'm not getting from it.
I know.
Forget it. I'll have to take her away from Mrs. Lloyd if I'm going to be kept away.
No, you're not going to be kept away.
No.
You're not going to be kept away from anything, okay?
If I haven't called you, I can pay you.
Look, I'm going to get your money, okay? I promise. Nothing in there, just you and me. And you never have to go back and sleep in that nursing home ever again. You never have to go back. I'm never going to let them traumatise you, humiliate you, or shame you, or tell you off ever, ever again. It's just you and me. And we're going to live in a home, private.
We're going to send you a letter and answer it within a 24-hour period, and we'll tell you what we can give you. What you mean, a letter, man? Just tell me right here. No. Go home. We're going to send you a letter. And that letter they're going to explain. But it's going to be coded like what they want him to do if he's willing to do this. You see, it's like nursery rhymes. And you're like, what? If I do what? Well, I don't understand the letter. Give us your mama, and we'll put you in the $20 million club. Man, you crazy. And if you weak, you ain't got the Lord on your side, you sitting at home in that dark room, you tired of eating Roman noodles, you ain't got no running water, electricity out, you buy a candle going, all right, man, she work, downtown, she get off at 6. What I supposed to do? Set it up, have her at home, you catch a plane, go somewhere for a couple of days, and we'll send you a text. All right. A week later, they give them a text. They won't say that she's dead. They'll be like, the party was great. Thanks for showing up. Because it's like coded. They ain't going to just come out and say they killed her, right? He heard on the news she's dead. He breaks down. He goes to his bank account. He got $20 million in his bank account. He slowly forget his mama. Ask Kanye West. That's how he got down. Psalms 37 and 17 again. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord uphold the righteous. But when you're righteous, the Lord holds you up. Even though it feels like your life's getting ready to cut off, look like you ain't got that money, look like you ain't got the right kind of taxes coming in because they cut you this year, right? But you're righteous. Your knowledge is prevailing. You're powerful. All. The Lord getting ready to bless, man. The Lord going to bless the 1/3. Don't y'all keep tripping off of Hollywood and don't keep tripping on how to get that extra money. Just hold steady what you got.